ये बड़ा पैनल है हमारा और बहुत ही इंटरेस्टिंग ये सेशन होगा, प्राइवेट वर्सेस पब्लिक यूनिवर्सिटीज़। तो एक बार फिर से हम शिक्षा की बात करेंगे। शेफाली राय जी, मैनेजिंग डायरेक्टर। शेफाली जी बहुत धन्यवाद, आइए प्लीज़। देव मूर्ति जी, चेयरमैन SRM's मेडिकल एंड इंजीनियरिंग कॉलेज बरेली। धन्यवाद देव मूर्ति जी। गौरव गुलाटी जी को आमंत्रित करना चाहेंगे, जो कि वाइस प्रेसिडेंट यूनाइटेड ग्रुप ऑफ इंस्टीट्यूशंस इलाहाबाद एंड नोएडा। धन्यवाद गौरव जी। संजीव श्रीवास्तव जी, एक्स डायरेक्टर BBT यूनिवर्सिटी एंड अंसल यूनिवर्सिटी। संजय जी आइए, डॉक्टर संजय प्लीज, स्वागत है आपका, बहुत धन्यवाद।
Ladies and gentlemen, we start the boys and girls, we start the second session on education. As you were told that this session is basically going to focus, it's going to be a continuous panel, what we had in the first session, which was also on education. Here we'll sort of focus more on the private versus public education, private versus public, number one, and number two, private-public partnership in education in Uttar Pradesh. So let me again once more summarize what the entire attempt was in the State of the States. The idea was to study the 75 districts across the state, and the idea was to find out which of the districts have been performing the best in various indicators, and on each of these indicators, in each of these categories, you will find we'll have various sort of panels. And education, which is one of the important categories, we have two panels, as I pointed out. The idea is the competition among districts, the competition among regions. As we pointed out, the report points out that there is an east-west hiatus in Uttar Pradesh, very strong. Western UP is performing much better than, let's say, regions like Bundelkhand, Eastern UP, and even Awadh. Why? You saw part of the debate then. We'll try and touch upon those during this debate as well. But let me sort of go back to our panel. We have Shefali Rajji, Dev Murthy ji, Gaurav Gulati, Sanjay Srivastav. Let me start with Shefali. And please, as I pointed out to the students, be ready with questions at the end of the discussion. Let's have a great debate right now. The first question, as we pointed out, Uttar Pradesh was a pioneer, not only in public education, but also in private education. I gave the example of Madan Mohan Malviya, who started BHU. I gave the example of 1960s, when the Hindi heartland states, the Bimaru states, were supposed to be rather relatively backward. At that time, Uttar Pradesh had lots of public-private partnership in terms of secondary schools, in terms of inter-colleges, and later on by the 1980s in terms of degree colleges. Today, again, we have a private-public partnership both in schools and in the universities. Let me start with Shefali Raj. How is today's situation different from what we had earlier, number one, and how is it going to be different in the future?
All right, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, India Today, for giving us a platform like this. It's always a pleasure to connect up with the younger generation sitting at the back, though a little silently. Let me put at rest a point that I had the moment I read the topic. It is private versus public sector in education. I do not see things as this against that. Darkness is not opposite of light. It is just absence of lightness, right? So there is nothing like private versus public. We need to understand there is already a crisis. There is already a resource gap that is there in India when it comes to the education system. And unfortunately, in the list of top 400 universities across the globe, we have just two colleges, Indian Institute of Science and IIT Bombay, that feature that also not in the top 200, but maybe in the group of 250 to 300, and IIT Mumbai between the second bracket. So as it is, we are in a condition where there has to be a collaboration that has to happen between public and private sector when it comes to education. It is difficult because both have their challenges and both have to fight. So why not join hands? Let's have a handshake and see if, the top IITs have a place in India. They are looked up as premier colleges. There are a couple of private colleges which are doing exceedingly well. Why don't we have a public-private partnership? Let us explore each other's strengths and see if we can collaborate and work. Fortunately, my college is located in Kanpur, PSIT Kanpur. We've got a wonderful infrastructure. But definitely, there are certain challenges that we have that can be met because we are blessed to have IIT Kanpur with us. So if there is a collaboration possible between IIT and a private college and a couple of other private colleges, I think we can raise the standards of education in India. So we have infrastructure, they have the brains, and together, if this marriage happens, I think we will be able to do a great justice to the students of this country. Now, coming to two issues that were raised in the previous discussion also, why certain pockets of UP are doing well. Now, it is a very simple reason, because NCR has the advantage of, just everything. So when you're close to the capital of the country, obviously you have a lot of advantages. So that's the reason why, the colleges have been flourishing in that region. Youngsters have that craze of going to a metro, which we need to understand. It's going to be difficult because that's how the youngsters think. So that's the reason why maybe there are the growth in the NCR region is little faster, little more than the eastern UP, right? So that's my submission on this.
Okay, let me take this debate to Jagdish Gulati. The question is, when we discuss education, let me extend the parameters of the debate first. If you look at globally, public universities in the world have performed as well as private schools. Look at Berkeley, University of California, Berkeley, University of California, Los Angeles. These are public universities, by the way. Their performance is almost as good as Stanford, Harvard, Yale, or Princeton, which are private universities. Let's shift to Europe. The German educational system and partly the French educational system is totally public universities. They are as good, in fact, better sometimes than English universities like Oxford and Cambridge. So look at in India, for example, the IITs are all public universities. Their performance is outstanding. So the point here is, it doesn't matter if you're private or public. Quality is something which is unique to an institution, unique to an educational culture. So one question straight to Devmurthy ji is on that, and which I'll come to, right, Mr. Gulati is on that. And secondly, you mentioned in the past that you wanted to take up also the issue of primary education. There is a paradox there, it seems, that the schools apparently, public schools have done much better, as you said, in primary education, but not that well in the other. Okay, the other way. Go ahead.
First of all, I'm grateful for getting an opportunity to speak over here. The broader topic for today's discussion was private versus public education. So it never really focused on whether it's schooling or graduate or postgraduate education. The moment I read the topic, the first thing that strikes me is a paradox, that while at school level, if we see in UP or all over in India, we see that the best schools in the state or in the country are private. you talk about the top 10 schools of the country where kids are studying, there may not be a single government school in that list. Whereas when we come to graduate and postgraduate level, things are very different. The topmost institutions in the country are still IITs and IIMs and IISc, like ma'am said, the only two that figure in that list are. Now, coming to the other question that you said, sir, it may be very much linked to the quantity versus quality debate. When we talk about schools, public schools, there are millions of students studying there. And the moment the quantity goes beyond control, it is obviously very simple that the quality cannot be controlled in the same way. Today, Bihar board, there was a result where the topper of Bihar board did not even know her course properly. So when I thought further about it, I felt if two parameters that can be controlled at schooling level, one is recruitment and monitoring of teachers, and second is examination system. If these two parameters can be monitored in a much stronger way, although frankly speaking, there is a political repercussion attached to it, which I cannot go in detail about, so things will change drastically. Whereas college level, I felt that many years ago, our Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru established IITs as state-of-the-art institutions for the country. So they were established with this objective that they will stand out as the best amongst the lot. And that trend continues. So I believe if anything has to change, we need to first go to the basics and change that and then move further.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Gulati. Murthy ji, I wanted to ask you about that question in terms of private versus public. Why is it that when Uttar Pradesh began, in a way, privatizing education in the 1960s, they built a lot of degree colleges which were public-private partnership, a lot of inter colleges which were public-private partnership, and they were doing tremendously well. In Shefaliji's city, for example, in Kanpur, you had lots of them. But today, for some reason, the public-private partnership debate has become private versus public, whereas in the past it was more a public-private partnership. Would you agree with that?
Mr. Judge, thank you for calling me here, India Today. Chancellor, I am the first person in UP to start the professional course, private self-finance institution in 1995. In UP in 1994, the private persons were allowed by the Samajwadi Party that 94 में there was a geo UP में self-finance में professional college engineering medical खुलना शुरू हुए. In 1970 इंडिया में कर्नाटक वे ज़्यादा pioneers वहाँ पहले शुरू हुए और उसके बाद यूपी में शुरू हुए. अच्छा. तो आज भी यूपी में 60,000 से ज़्यादा लोग प्राइवेट कॉलेजेस में हैं और बहुत से बच्चे आज भी प्राइवेट कॉलेज फर्स्ट चूज़ करते हैं देन गवर्नमेंट कॉलेजेस से. तो प्राइवेट वर्सेस गवर्नमेंट का कोई रोल अलग अलग रोल है. प्राइवेट इंस्टीट्यूशन जो अच्छे बने क्योंकि कॉलेज में इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर बिल्डिंग नहीं बल्कि फैकल्टी रिसर्च वर्क एंड जो इंडस्ट्री बिटवीन द गैप इंस्टीट्यूट एंड इंडस्ट्री का जो एक रिलेशन होना चाहिए जो जिन कॉलेजों में बड़े अच्छे हैं क्योंकि आज के ज़माने में जो इंडस्ट्री दे वांट ए परफेक्ट इंजीनियर फ्रॉम द डे वन उसके लेने के एम्प्लॉयमेंट देने के बाद वो फॉर्म वर्किंग हो जाए उसका ज़्यादा ट्रेनिंग में कॉस्ट ना लगे. तो इसलिए it was we are the luckiest. I was the luckiest person in 1995. I got the permission in 1995. The first in UP, the two engineering colleges started, my college and the Modi's in Modi Nagar. After that, all the colleges started in UP. और आज तो 400 से ऊपर इंजीनियरिंग कॉलेज है, मैनेजमेंट कॉलेज मिला के. मेरे ख्याल से आज यूपी में अगर सबसे इंडस्ट्री कही जाए, एजुकेशन सेक्टर जो चाहे वो मेडिकल हो चाहे वो इंजीनियरिंग हो, जब मेरे इंजीनियरिंग कॉलेज खुला था 1100 करीब सीटें यूपी में होती थी. आज 1.25 लाख इनटेक यूपी में प्राइवेट कॉलेजेस का है. तो इतना बड़ा इज ए कंट्रीब्यूशन टू द कंट्री. आज ऐसी कोई इंडस्ट्री नहीं जहाँ पर मेरा वर्ल्ड में मैं कहूँगा बड़ी बात नहीं करता हूँ कि SRMS का एलुमनाई काम नहीं कर रहा हो और यूपी के ऐसे सब कॉलेज, जैसे गुलाटी जी का है, मैडम का कॉलेज है, हम लोग कितनी बार आईआईटी में, इसलिए रेफरेंस दे रहा हूँ कि टीम में आईआईटी के बच्चे, उस टीम लीडर हमारे यहाँ के बच्चे हैं और वो उसके मेंबर हैं। तो पढ़ाई आईआईटी में जो फंड सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट और उनका फंड जितना जिस रेशो में दिया जाता है, और हम लोग की जो फीस है वो एक फिक्स है 70,000 80,000 रुपये, जिससे हमें पूरा इंस्टीट्यूट एंड सारी टीचिंग पढ़ाना है। उसके बाद भी जो क्वालिटी है वो प्राइवेट में बेटर है देन द गवर्नमेंट। तो पब्लिक, अब मैं मेडिकल कॉलेज लीजिए, यूपी में जब प्राइवेट ये शुरू हुआ तो 600 सीटें होती थी। आज यूपी में प्राइवेट कॉलेज में 2400 सीटें हैं, इनटेक है यूपी का। मैं इत्तेफाक से, गुलाटी सब लोग जानते हैं, इंजीनियरिंग कॉलेज फेडरेशन का भी प्रेसिडेंट हूँ और मेडिकल कॉलेज का भी फेडरेशन का प्रेसिडेंट हूँ। तो हम लोग क्या इतना बड़ा इस टाइम एकेडमिक में, चाहे प्रोफेशनल हो चाहे मेडिकल हो जी, मैं आपको दावा कर सकता हूँ कि प्राइवेट मेडिकल कॉलेज के जो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर है और जो कॉन्सेप्ट है वो गवर्नमेंट में भी आज भी नहीं है। मेरा कॉलेज नॉर्थ इंडिया का बेस्ट टाइम्स ऑफ इंडिया अवार्ड दिया मुझे। मेरे यहाँ 3 टेस्ला MRI सबसे पहले आई, गवर्नमेंट में नहीं आई। 2 बीम अल्ट्रासाउंड, 2 बीम लीनियर एक्सीलेटर कैंसर का, वो मेरे आपका वो मिलेगा। मेरे यहाँ की OPD पर डे की 2000 की है और बेड सेप कैपेसिटी 1000, जबकि मुझे MCI की तरफ से 500 रखनी है। MCI ने मेरा का PG कोर्स करिकुलम जो है वो इन्वर्टेड कॉमर्स में उठाया कि ये इज़ द बेस्ट करिकुलम जो आज तक कहीं नहीं चल रहा है। तो प्राइवेट की क्वालिटी गवर्नमेंट से बहुत अच्छी है।
श्रीवास्तव जी, आपको क्या लगता है फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल कि प्राइवेट कॉलेजेस का क्वालिटी गवर्नमेंट से बहुत अच्छा है, पहला सवाल। और दूसरा सवाल, यदि ये सही है कि यूपी में एक तरह से एजुकेशनल ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन हो रहा है, तो व्हाई डू वी स्टिल सी सारे बच्चे चले जा रहे हैं साउथ, सारे बच्चे चले जा रहे हैं दिल्ली, अब्रॉड? व्हाई इज दिस
सॉरी, मैं इंटरप्ट कर रहा हूँ।
लेट हिम
सर, एक मेरे साउथ अब बहुत कम जाता है, NCR ज़्यादा जाता है।
ओके, NCR।
Good afternoon, everybody. First of all, I would like to introduce myself and thank India Today for allowing me on this panel. I am Dr. Sanjay Srivastava, professor at Feroz Gandhi Institute, Raebareli, professor of management. And I would like to enlighten you about the topic, starting from a quote, "Old order changeth, yielding place to new." So transformation takes place with time and it is a natural course. Once upon a time when Takshashila University and Nalanda University were seats of learning at Bihar, they were known for teaching, learning activity. Today Bihar stands where we all know. You were talking about Motilal Nehru Institution, BHU, AMU, Roorkee Engineering College once upon a time. There had been always competition amongst the institutions. There are so many parameters that drive this change. Bundelkhand University had a vice chancellor. I would not like to quote anybody individually, but he was the person who entirely changed Bundelkhand University, which was neglected and it had no place. So there are so many factors which drive this change. So change is normal. This very well accepted with everyone. Second thing which I would like to drive home is the mindset of the people. For instance, the education starts from the mother before any other education. And right after that, the parents here, let's say in Lucknow for the moment, they would aspire to join Lamatinia girls if they have a daughter child. There were 30,000 applicants against intake of just 90 students. So it is there in the mindset of the people. People heard, crowd about it, and they know the legacy of Lamatinia, so they apply there. Similarly, when you move ahead after your basic schooling, where these institutions, since they are getting good stuff from responsible parents who have been, their mothers are after their children, they are always on their toes to develop their child, and they excel in life later on. After they complete their primary education and middle education, higher education, not higher education, let's say 10+2 level, they aspire for IITs, NIITs, AIMS, AFMC, for medical education. Those who get admission there at this level of institutions, they do very well in life. But what about those who don't get a place there? It is good that institutions like Ramurthy Institution of Bareilly and PSIT Kanpur and Jagdish Gulati Saab's United Institutions from Allahabad, they have added to the pressure of population here in the state.
In Raebareli, for example, what's the situation between private versus public, let's say?
We are a government-aided institution and the only institution in Raebareli, and our 100% seats are...
No, in terms of schools, for example, private versus public, in Raebareli.
In Raebareli, I mean, wherever you see, the schooling level, at the schooling level, the private institutions are much ahead of the government institution because of various reasons. I would say point one is the quality of teachers. Quality of teachers at government institutions at primary level, you ask the name of the governor of their state, they won't know. It was viral a few months back. You ask the name of the prime minister of the nation, the teacher doesn't know. You ask the name of the district magistrate, their principal, they don't even know their principal's name. And they are teaching, if they are asked to write on the blackboard, spelling of, let's say, any word, they won't be able to write on the blackboard. They don't know themselves. So how can they teach? First of all, they have to be educated themselves. And this is one reason, the quality of teachers. The second reason is the quality of input they get. Since at government school level, the fees is very less. The private schools are charging enormous fees, but that is the drive of the parents, the kind of input they have. So these are two basic reasons why, and it becomes a vicious circle.
Let me sort of summarize the way we are going on with this debate. It seems that, and it seems most of the speakers are saying that there is a decline in public institutions and there is a rise in private institutions, not only in terms of quantity, but also quality. If that is true, Shefali Rajji, what are the challenges for an entrepreneur starting a private institution? I mean, you are one of them. So what are the sort of immediate challenges that they face in beginning in the university, in sustaining it, and third level, bringing it to top quality?
All right, a very pertinent question, because that's what I guess everybody sitting over here is suffering. The perception that people have is private colleges are here to fleece, students, right, the parents, while these government colleges are doing charity. Unfortunately, that's not the case. I mean, you look at, I can speak about my college, and I'm sure other panelists sitting over here feel the same. There's been a huge investment that we do in setting up a private college, right? There's been a huge investment in terms of infrastructure, getting faculty there. But then the challenges that we face is there is a regulation that is put on the fee that we can charge. Like Sir said very rightly, 75,000 is the fee that we can charge. Now, with the kind of facilities we are giving and not getting even a penny of aid from anybody, it's self-sustained. It's so difficult, but then yes, we know we are doing nation building. We know we have long-term plans. That's the reason why, the show is going on. So the challenges that we face is we, require a lot of support when it comes to research and development. We need government support. We need a lot of partnership from industry. I'll tell you about my college. We fortunately have good partnerships with various corporates. So we are a Campus Connect partner to Infosys. We were with IBM. We had collaboration with Oracle. So industry is also understanding that private colleges are very, very proactive. So we get things the harder way, but then yes, we do a fantastic job out of it. Faculty, definitely, I think the world is facing a challenge. I think faculty is one breed which is becoming extinct in this world. So not just we are facing a problem, I think the entire world is having a crisis of good faculty. So the choice that faculty, the first preference that people have when they get qualified is looking for a job in a government college. So there are certain perceptions that need to be busted, all right? So for that, of course, we are becoming very good paymasters. That's the only reason how we can lure good people into our system. So I guess there are a couple of challenges we have in terms of charging fee from students, getting good faculty, getting a lot of projects from research projects from government agencies. So I think we are walking on the right path. It's just, again, a matter of time. Yes, 10 more years. I think we'll be at a position where everything is going to be at par.
Gaurav Gulati, you made this interesting point about primary education. For example, suppose we have entrepreneurs entering into private education. Would the challenges be very different from what Shefali Raj is talking about?
Challenges are almost on similar lines. Before I go ahead with this point, there's something else you brought up earlier about a brain drain, as in students running away from UP to, I don't know, based on personal observation, because I finished my engineering 13 years ago. I felt there was this interesting phenomena that when you finish school and go for graduation or post-graduation, it is not just the quality of institute. You feel that exposure and lifestyle are very important factors when you decide where you want to study. Now, a student who lives in a smaller village close to Allahabad or Kanpur, for him coming to Allahabad is an enhancement of lifestyle. So we run an institute in Allahabad and we see that a lot of students from Pratapgarh, Mirzapur, Jaunpur, smaller district around Allahabad, they aspire and they are very happy to come to Allahabad. Whereas a student who has lived in a city like Allahabad or Lucknow would like to, say, go to Delhi, Bombay or Pune. And off late we have been noticing students studying in metro cities who have done their schooling in metros, they aspire to go abroad. So I don't entirely point this to the quality of education, why the movement of students is there. There is a lot more. Say, for example, if I'm doing my engineering from Pune or Hyderabad or Chennai or Bangalore, I am more likely to be closer to the recruiters because all the industry is down south. So there are other factors as well where really the quality of education per se is not paramount. Again, in the private versus public debate, while I completely agree with ma'am that private colleges are more progressive, but then in spite of being from a private college, I would say what happens, there is a very strong variation of quality amongst private colleges. Whereas there is a sense of security when you join a government institute. It is very similar to banking sector. Say, HDFC and ICICI might offer the best services, but people will say, एक account to State Bank में होना चाहिए, हमारा पैसा सुरक्षित है वहाँ पे. So that thing remains same here. UP has, like in the first session, Mr. Pankaj Agarwal said, 600 private colleges. But the fact is that out of those 600, if you ask me genuinely, not more than 30 to 35 are up to the mark. So completely saying that private colleges are better, no. The better private colleges are better is a better way to put that on.
Let me change the sort of terms of the debate. The Murthy ji आपसे शुरू करता हूँ. अमेरिका में, यूरोप में हमेशा देखा गया है कि जो टॉप यूनिवर्सिटीज़ हैं वो बड़े शहर में नहीं होते हैं. जैसे कि हार्वर्ड ले लीजिए, येल ले लीजिए, प्रिंसटन, तीनों जो है बड़े शहर के एक तरह से बाहर है. इंग्लैंड में ही ले लीजिए, ऑक्सफोर्ड, कैम्ब्रिज जो है लंदन में नहीं है, लंदन से दूर है. यूरोप में भी एक इक्वल फिनोमेना है. जर्मनी में सारे टॉप यूनिवर्सिटीज़ गॉटिंजन में होंगे या किसी छोटे से शहर में होंगे. भारत में ये क्या फिनोमेना है कि सारे बच्चे खाली बड़े सिटी की तरफ भागते हैं, या तो दिल्ली, या तो बॉम्बे, या तो चेन्नई, या तो लखनऊ. छोटे शहरों में, जैसे कि फॉर एग्जाम्पल आगे भी हम बढ़ेंगे डिबेट को लेके, कि छोटे छोटे शहरों में ऐसा क्यों होता है. पहले इतिहास में नालंदा एक छोटा जगह था जहाँ इतना अच्छा यूनिवर्सिटी था, अब ऐसा क्यों नहीं होता है.
जैसा अगर आप देखें रुड़की यूनिवर्सिटी, रुड़की इंजीनियरिंग कॉलेज में तो वो IIT नहीं था, तो उसमें जितने लोग आईआईटी के लिए अप्लाई करते थे उससे ज़्यादा आईआईटी के कानपुर और रुड़की यूनिवर्सिटी के लिए अप्लाई करते थे, उसकी वैल्यू उससे बहुत ज़्यादा थी। जहाँ का 1 लाख आदमी 6 आईआईटी के लिए अप्लाई करता है और 1.25 लाख आदमी सिर्फ रुड़की यूनिवर्सिटी के लिए ट्राई करता था। और रुड़की जिला नहीं है, तहसील है, इसे तहसील, तो वहाँ पढ़ने को तैयार है। जहाँ पर अगर पढ़ाई है वहाँ पर बच्चा पढ़ने आएगा। आप बरेली में आइए, मेरे कॉलेज में मेरे बॉम्बे से भी बच्चा पढ़ने आ रहा है, साउथ से भी आ रहा है, कलकत्ता से भी आ रहा है। तो बरेली कोई बहुत बड़ा शहर नहीं, बस जहाँ पर एजुकेशन है, वो कहा जाता है ना कि अगर गुड़ है तो मधुमक्खी आएगी, तो जहाँ का कुछ होएगा तभी आदमी आएगा। और जो मेट्रोज़ का चार्म अलग है, क्योंकि 30% 20% बच्चे हैं जो कि एकेडमिक में अपना पूरा फोकस देते हैं, बाकी को मैं बड़ा स्पष्ट कहीं यहाँ पर यंग ट्रस्ट भी बैठे हुए हैं कि पेरेंट्स से दूर हो के फ्री, एक जो फ्री वर्ड है उसके लिए एनसीआर हो चाहे आपके मेट्रोपॉलिटन सिटीज़ हैं, वहाँ उनको आराम बहुत है, वहाँ पर उनको रोक टोक नहीं है कि रात के 2 बजे तक पार्टी हो रही है या जो हो रहा है रेप। चाहे आप पूना देखिए चाहे बेंगलोर देखिए, पूना में इतना नॉर्थ इंडिया का बच्चा जाता है, उसका ऐसा नहीं कि यूपी में कहीं पढ़ाई नहीं हो रही है, पर वो एक दूर हो जाता है, उसको ये लगता है कि मैं आई एम फ्री। एंड नाउ डेज द पेरेंट्स बिकम द एटीएम, एनी टाइम मनी, दे आर रेडी टू पे फॉर द चाइल्ड कि भाई वो खुश रहे और जहाँ रहे, क्योंकि दे आर सो बिजी, बोथ हस्बैंड वाइफ आर इन वर्किंग कंडीशन, तो दे आर लेस टाइम टू गिव टू देयर चाइल्ड।
संजय श्रीवास्तव जी, आप तो रायबरेली से आ रहे हैं, आपके लिए ये चैलेंज तो सबसे बड़ा है। हाउ डू यू क्रिएट अ इंस्टीट्यूशन इन अ प्लेस लाइक रायबरेली that students from Lucknow and Allahabad will go there instead of going to Delhi or the southern cities?
Creation of institution, again it takes time. With passage of time, institutions develop and come up to a certain level of legacy. Different levels of institutions are there and different levels of students are aspiring for different institutions. For instance, a student gets admission at Harvard Business School and that same student gets admission in any of the leading IIMs here in India. So he would certainly opt for Harvard Business School. There can be a second set of students who get admission at IIMs and then maybe in Central University, government Central University MBA institutions, they would certainly prefer IIMs. So there are different sections of society catering to different levels of institution, providing inputs, the admissions. Number one. Number two, if from the institution point of view, if you look, and as you have asked, how do you create the institution at Raebareli where students should aspire? So we get a different set of students.
Shefali ji, let me shift this debate. You started a university in Kanpur. Kanpur, of course, is the #1 industrial city, or was the #1 industrial city of Uttar Pradesh. Suppose you were to start a university in, let's say, no bias meant, in Bahraich. What would be the challenges there, let's say, versus Kanpur, and how would you be able to bring out a quality institution there, thereby you can attract, students from all over the state or maybe from outside the state?
It's definitely going to be difficult. So we have youngsters sitting with us, school-going students here. I think we should put a volley of questions to them and ask them what is the kind of city they're going to look at. So the preferences of choosing an education institute has changed. It has changed in the minds of parents. It has changed in the minds of students as well. So like Sir said, very rightly, they look at a city first. Okay, so they decide, I'm going to go to Pune, I'm going to go to Bangalore, or I'm going to go to NCR because the college is going to be 5 days working, and Saturday, Sunday, I'll have something to myself. I can chill, I can, enjoy myself, pursue my hobbies, maybe take up a course in photography, or XYZ. Now, there are going to be very few students who are going to pick up a world-class college established in Bahraich okay, vis-a-vis a college in NCR, which might not be of that repute, but the statement that they're going to make is, we want an all-round personality, and that's not possible. The exposure is not there in Bahraich, it is going to be in NCR. So somewhere, the priorities have changed in the minds of parents also, and in the youngsters' minds also.
Gaurav Gulati, let me put this question directly to you. When Rabindranath Tagore wanted to start a world-class university, he went to Vishwabharati. He didn't go to Calcutta. When will we have the next Vishwabharati in Uttar Pradesh? And who will be this educational entrepreneur? I mean, this is a state, by the way, which we argued in the last debate where Madan Mohan Malviya started BHU. Why don't we have such dedicated entrepreneurs who can brand a city by an educational institution? I mean, Oxford and Cambridge are small cities with only educational institutions, and they have great brand value. When do we start that in UP?
I guess, practically speaking, today, if being honest, I think most of the panelists also would never like the idea of setting up an institute in a smaller city like Bahraich, Banda, etc. Reason being that even government colleges that are established over there are failing, are not doing very well. The point is, like you said, that when will this happen? I believe when you establish an institution which has, at its initial phase, say infrastructurally or investment-wise, which is so big that the name of city won't matter. IIT Kharagpur, IIT Roorkee were established by the Prime Minister of this country. From day one, they had this advantage. Now, today, a private group on its own, I believe, it's not very easy. So maybe public-private partnership is an answer, or our government may start focusing that they put the best institutes there. But once again, I repeat that, like ma'am said, it's almost impossible to ignore the fact that if I was living in Delhi, I will think 10 times before shifting to Banda or any other city, even if the institute is great. And that is one reason IIT Powai or IIT Delhi are the top 2 IITs for last few years. Previously, if you go historically, between 60s and 90s, it was always Kharagpur and Kanpur. Why is that happening?
I would like to add to this.
Yes,
And,
Sujit
I differ entirely from what Mr. Gulati has said, right? Suppose we want to start an institution at Bahraich. I can provide a solution to that, and that will click in single stride. Suppose there is an entrepreneur there at Bahraich and ties up with, let's say, and the government passes that bill which is still pending with the government of India. Harvard comes and opens an institution in Bahraich, it will click and it will go in a single stride. The legacy, the brand equity matters a lot. And students would aspire from Delhi or Mumbai to join that institution at Bahraich.
In fact, I myself...
If it's only, I'm sorry,
yes, Shefali
if it
Raj.
is only Harvard, then...
Maybe Oxford or Cambridge, any
You're
brand
talking
equity,
of the
any brand.
You're talking of the premier colleges, right?
I'll again add to it. HCL has opened an institution in Noida. And it is going very well.
Let me give an example. I want to go back to
Bennett
the
and
audiences.
Bennett and Coleman opened an institution last year and it is 100% filled.
In?
Bennett and Coleman.
No, where, in Noida. But
Yeah.
that was in Noida. I'm talking about this
Noida
small-
is not the reason. Bennett and Coleman, the brand is the reason.
See, backward Bihar's best school ever in the history of Bihar was actually Netarhat, which is now part of Jharkhand, which is almost like 100 miles away from Jamshedpur or Ranchi, back in a forest, which produced some of the brightest sort of stars of Bihar. So I think it's not that only top institutions. In the south, for example, Mangalore has produced some great universities. There have been other smaller places in Kerala, for example, which have had, Vellore is a great example of one of the topmost medical colleges in the country, far away from Chennai, far away, far away from any of the industrial hubs. But let's go straight to the audience. Let's go straight to the students. Suppose you had the choice. Where would you, for example, want to go and study? Or would you prefer to go in a top institution in a small city? Or would you prefer to go in metros like Delhi or Bombay? Can we have a
A student sitting at the back.
Students sitting at the back. Some of you promised me you're going to ask sort of bold questions. Can I see a hand, please? Do I see a hand there? Yeah. Go ahead. A couple of hands over there. I'll come back to all of you. Louder. Your name, please, and what is the question and whom is it addressed to?
I'm Akash Swan. I'm from Ram Swarup Engineering College.
Right.
I prefer metro basically because as the entrepreneurship, I prefer entrepreneurship because I think getting job, giving someone job is better than to getting job. So if I am in Lucknow, so I am close to one of the industries and some big companies. So I can create an entrepreneurship, and it's better to create a good company.
Excellent. Thank you. You had, let's get the other question from the student. There was a hand right there, right next to you, behind you. Yeah.
I'm not a student.
Go ahead. Please go ahead.
Out, so they'll speak. My name is Vikas Malik, and I'm heading operations for a bakery called Mr. Brown Bakery. I happened to visit Bareilly, and
this is Bareilly, not Raebareli, right?
No, this is
Okay.
Bareilly.
Bareilly.
And I got an appointment with Mr. Dev Murthy. Before getting an appointment, I had a chance to see the institution. I was so pleasantly surprised. I had gone for some other work with Mr. Murthy, but I came back so contented and so happy, so delighted that what an disciplined place it is. The OPD he was talking about, I could see the eyes of the patients and their attendants being so satisfied at the front level, at the front desk. The organization is run by a discipline. Mr. Murthy is a very tough taskmaster.
Come up with a question to the Murthy ji. A challenge, not appreciation.
No, the appreciation is very important to make sure that the message goes across about this debate to the children sitting here that yes, a good institution can and are coming up in a smaller city.
Small city.
The question is that this kind of education, what is being given in Bareilly, should reach out to metros also.
The Murthy ji, your response is जो सवाल पूछे आपसे और जो बड़ा question था कि the question that
metro में भी इस तरह के आप खोलें. He wants that.
No, I think the question the question directly is the question is in small cities.
Your question was to start a institute.
Great institution in a small
city.
Right.
You have to take 5 points.
Right.
First thing, infrastructure.
Ji.
Second thing, curriculum. Third thing, faculty. Fourth thing, security. And fifth thing, exposure to students. They will come 100% from the metro to that village.
Okay.
Sir, just a moment.
One second.
I will just add to.
Yes, madam. You want to say something?
Hang on 1 second. The first question we never answered. The first question was tied to jobs. Students want to know. They want to go to a big city because there are more jobs in the big city. So let's start with Sanjay Srivastava. Then we'll go to Shefali.
Okay. See, it is our proud privilege that Mr. Dev Murthy is here as a panelist. He opened an institution in Bareilly way back in 95, and he opened an institution in Lucknow. I'm trying to bring home the point that cities don't matter. Time matters. What he opened in 95 was the first institution in the private sector, and it clicked. It is doing very well as on date. But they have to wind up the operations in Lucknow, if I'm not wrong.
No, sorry, I didn't wind out. I closed admission for this year only. There were some reasons. And next year again I will start it. I'm not closing the institute.
But you did not get admissions here in Lucknow, and Lucknow happens to a better city compared to Bareilly.
For last 3 years, is a recession in engineering, and the number of the colleges are too much. If you want to give a good education, the quality of the 10+2 is very bad. The brokers entered in admission process. The commission baji is more than the real students are coming. 10+2 degree is a waste. If you say all the board, UP board, CBSE board, how it can be possible if a student is getting 99% marks in Hindi? It's not a mathematics paper. ये कभी ताज्जुब होता है कि a person is getting 97%, you don't know what is 97%. but they are getting the degree, they are taking the
So,
mark.
Shefali ji, do sawal. Two questions. One, related to that first question,
Yes.
the student asked about jobs.
Correct,
I mean,
correct.
how do we produce jobs to students coming out of smaller cities, number one? And number two, the boards are irresponsible in terms of when it comes to evaluation. How do you handle that?
Correct. I'll take the first question first. So the boy who had put up the question on entrepreneurship, let me tell you, when at PSIT we incubate. So there are students who land is not a problem. We are established over 100 acres. All right. Expansion is definitely there on the cards. Students who want to opt out of placements give their consent. They are not made to sit for placement process, and they are given infrastructure support for 1 year. So the students sitting over there, and today the place does not matter. Your office is what is important. So we're giving you the infrastructure, we're giving you all the support, and since there are so many industries that come for placements to us, we connect our students to them. It does not matter whether you are in NCR or in Bangalore or in Pune or in Kanpur. We have more than 150 companies that come on campus for placement. We are sitting at 92% placement with, yes, like Sir said rightly, it was difficult initially, but then last 6 years have been pretty good for us. So we have day one recruiter, Infosys. Day two, we have Tech Mahindra. Day three, we have Capgemini. There has never been a problem of convincing a company to come over for placement to a smaller place, which does not, it's not a smaller place, but yes, geographically we've been hit because Lucknow being a capital close to Kanpur definitely took all the shine. We don't even have the airport, right? Recently, the flights have started thrice a week. Initially, it was difficult for us to convince the recruiters to travel from different places around the globe to come for recruitment to our city. But then, yes, we've been able to do that because we are producing quality students. So, entrepreneurship, you can do from any place. What you require is a good connect. So if the college is able to give you a platform, a breeding ground, I don't think it matters where you are, unless you just have a craze of NCR or a big
Gulati,
metro.
how would you answer this question of jobs and placement, which is the most important question for a student entering a private institution in a small city or in a metro?
See, like ma'am said, to begin with, a metro city definitely has an advantage because 9 out of 10 times they are connected to the industry. But even if you are in a smaller city and you are slowly able to connect, in my experience what happens, when we speak to a recruiter who's living in Bangalore or Chennai, he says, where is Allahabad? Does it have roads? Does it have an airport? These are the questions they ask us. But all you need to do is make them visit your campus once, make them understand that we are providing them a similar environment that is given them to them inside a metro. Things change. So I would not say, I would say institutes in smaller cities have to work a bit harder, but they can reach up to that level.
There's a couple of questions from the audience. There's many raised hands. The gentleman, right? Yes, sir. Let him ask the question first. Let's go around with all the questions and then we'll have the panelist answer. Yes, sir. Please identify yourself and then a direct question to any of our panelists.
Okay. My name is Deepak Guptara. I am Secretary General of the UP Sugar Mills Association, representing the largest industry in the state. We are large employers also, employing about 2 lakh people. Mr. Devmurthy happens to be a college senior, and I respect his views. He gave a 5-point program. I would like to add, with your permission, sir, one small point, that is the missionary zeal.
Right.
You see, all great institutions today, right from Takshila till date, University of Roorkee included, needed a missionary zeal.
You are right. If the promoters are not having missionary zeal, they can't run a good institution.
Sir, I am aware of the difficulties you faced in running your medical college. By God's grace, it is today successful. But it required a lot of courage to sustain that pressure that you were in. So, right from Madan Mohan Malviya ji to Sir Sayyid, and so on, you needed a missionary zeal to set up a great institution. I am not too sure, I ask myself whether it is missing today. We need to ponder on that.
Okay, let me take the other quick questions. The lady right there on the left. Yes, ma'am. Could please identify yourself and then ask a question directly to...
Dr. Sarojini Agarwal. I am MLC from Samajwadi Party.
Okay.
And I'm
Thank you.
chairperson of NIET Greater Noida. And we are constructing a medical college now. We have not started it. My question is to the panelists. I have one question. I'll just talk in Hindi. पूरे उत्तर प्रदेश में और मैं समझती हूँ कि पूरे इंडिया में डॉक्टर्स की बहुत कमी है. गवर्नमेंट सर्विसेज में, मेडिकल कॉलेज में प्रोफेसर्स, एसोसिएट प्रोफेसर्स, असिस्टेंट प्रोफेसर्स सबकी बहुत कमी है. आप PSCs पे जाइए, CSCs पे जाइए, सब जगह बहुत कमी है. We need many more medical colleges. That we all agree. But recently जो अभी हमने हमारे इंडिया में कॉलेजेस आए, उन सब में सीट्स खाली पड़ी रही because of need and the fee structure. I just want to know the solution for this question.
Very insightful question.
मैडम
अच्छा विवेक मूर्ति आप ही पहले
देता हूँ. मैडम आपने जो क्वेश्चन किया, यूपी में इस बार 1400 सीटें नई शुरू हुई, 1500 करीब, और वो जी जो ओवरसाइट कमेटी ने अलाउ करी, इट वॉज नॉट अलाउड फ्रॉम द MCI रिजेक्टेड दोस कॉलेजेस. एंड देन जो सीट खाली है यूपी में, 1400 सीट खाली हैं इस बार. इस बार लेट अप्रूवल फ्रॉम द स्टेट गवर्नमेंट एंड द सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट, एंड द इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर which was needed, it was not approved by the MCI. That's why they were rejected. That's why the seats are vacant in those colleges.
Ma'am,
Yes,
mic,
madam.
please.
I'm talking about those colleges.
The old colleges hardly.
I'm talking about those colleges only in which the college was approved by MCI. I'm not talking about...
In the approved college, hardly 2/4.
No. It's not that. You just go for a survey.
Madam, मैंने आपसे कहा, I am the president of the federation.
Doctors, I just want to know the solution. I'm asking a question. What can be the solution for this? I'm asking the question from the panelists.
Okay, before the panelists answer, there are two ladies out there who ask, yes ma'am, please. And then we'll come in the front. 3 questions, and with that we end the questions, please. Yes ma'am. Identify yourself ma'am, and then...
मैं डॉक्टर सुषमा मिश्रा, मैं जय नारायण डिग्री कॉलेज में B.Ed में पढ़ाती हूँ और काफ़ी लोअर एंड हायर रैंक के इंस्टीट्यूशंस को देख चुकी हूँ. MSc मैंने रुड़की यूनिवर्सिटी से की, जिसकी अभी इतनी बात हो रही है. BSc मेरी बड़ौदा यूनिवर्सिटी की है. उसके बाद मैं लखनऊ में आई. मेरा अपॉइंटमेंट एक बिल्कुल रिमोट कॉलेज में हुआ. इट वॉज ए गर्ल्स कॉलेज, लखनऊ में ही है. देन आई गॉट ट्रांसफर टू KKC.
I'm sorry, the question थोड़ा टाइम कम है.
क्वेश्चन मेरा ये है कि इतने वास्ट इंस्टीट्यूशंस को देखने के बाद एक जो बड़ी रेलिवेंट सी चीज़ है, हम यहाँ प्राइवेट कॉलेज और ये पब्लिक कॉलेजेस की बात कर रहे हैं, एक चीज़ की तरफ हमारा ध्यान नहीं जाता कि हम इनोवेशन भी सोचते हैं तो हम एक लाइन फिक्स कर लेते हैं कि इन लाइंस पर हम बात करेंगे. जो स्टूडेंट्स का मोड ऑफ पेमेंट है, हमारे यहाँ हायर एजुकेशन में गवर्नमेंट में इतनी ज़्यादा सब्सिडी दे दी जाती है कि मेरे ख्याल से वो स्टूडेंट इतनी हाईली सब्सिडाइज्ड एजुकेशन उन्हें मिलती है तो उसकी वैल्यू नहीं समझते. जबकि फॉरेन यूनिवर्सिटीज़ चाहे वो कितनी भी महंगी हों, स्टूडेंट्स की अपनी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी रहती है, वो अर्न करेंगे, पे करेंगे और पढ़ेंगे. और यहाँ पर ये बहाना लगा दिया जाता है, प्राइवेट जो यूनिवर्सिटीज़ हैं दे आर ऑफरिंग वेरी गुड एजुकेशन, लेकिन उनके ऊपर एक ब्लेम लगता है कि वो बहुत महंगे हैं, फीस नहीं दे सकते. तो ये चीज़ फॉरेन यूनिवर्सिटी में भी अप्लाई होती है. हम स्टूडेंट्स को कोई ऐसी अपॉर्चुनिटी नहीं देते कि वो अर्न करके अपनी फ़ीस पे कर सके. उन्हें बिल्कुल हैंडीकैप बना देते हैं कि उनकी हाई फीस है या लो फीस है, पेरेंट्स को ही देनी है, ये प्रिज्यूम करके वो चलते हैं. जैसे फॉरेन यूनिवर्सिटी में स्कॉलरशिप सिस्टम है, वो काम करते हैं, उसके बदले में उन्हें पैसा मिलता है और उस पैसे से वो अपनी फ़ीस पे करते हैं. तो इस तरह की लाइन पर हम क्यों नहीं सोच सकते, चाहे वो प्राइवेट यूनिवर्सिटी हो, गवर्नमेंट यूनिवर्सिटी हो. और बल्कि मैं तो इसे जो पुराने टाइम में हमारे यहाँ मॉनिटोरियल सिस्टम था उससे भी जोड़ के देखूंगी कि गुरुजी के आश्रम में हायर काम स्टूडेंट्स ही करते थे. वो डिसाइड कर देते थे कौन क्या काम करेगा। तो अगर हम
मैम, वी आर रनिंग आउट ऑफ टाइम, लेट मी शिफ्ट टू द अदर लेडी।
आई थिंक हम लेबर प्रॉब्लम से भी थोड़ी सी मुक्ति पा सकते हैं।
जी मैम, just a quick answer, of course the panelists will answer. The quick answer is in Germany all the universities are state universities. वहाँ students को उतना earn नहीं करना पड़ता है। दोनों तरफ के system दुनिया भर में हैं। But anyway, your question, ma'am.
My name is Ashi and I'm a student. My question is, isn't it the quality of education that helps in seeking the job? Isn't it just the quality of education? Because no matter where are you from or where you have studied.
Closer.
Okay. No matter which college you are from, isn't it the quality of education that seeks the job? It's you, how you represent yourself, how you represent your college, and how you represent the education you have been given that helps you to get the job.
और आपका सवाल था यहाँ से सर एक, हाँ प्लीज।
It is certainly the quality of education, but before that it is awareness.
One second, let's get the last question, then we'll get all the panelists from Gaurav Gulati onwards उधर से। Yes.
मुझे आसिम वकार कहते हैं
जी,
समाजवादी पार्टी से बिलोंग करता हूँ।
अच्छा,
बहुत देर से आप सब सम्मानित लोगों से कुछ पूछने की कोशिश कर रहा था। हमारे मुल्क में प्राइमरी और सेकेंडरी एजुकेशन की हालात जो भी हैं वो हम सब जानते हैं।
सर थोड़ा नज़दीक कर लीजिए।
हम
जी
हिंदुस्तान की सेकेंडरी और प्राइमरी एजुकेशन के हालात बेहतर जानते हैं कि झारखंड हो, छत्तीसगढ़ हो, मध्य प्रदेश हो, उत्तर प्रदेश हो, राजस्थान हो, हरियाणा हो, क्या हालात चल रहे हैं। लेकिन हम इस बात को भूल जाते हैं कि बहुत से ऐसे बच्चे हैं जो बहुत काबिल हैं, पढ़ना चाहते हैं, लेकिन वो हाई स्कूल और इंटर तक आते आते टूट जाते हैं और उसके बाद जो स्ट्रगल करके, मेहनत करके, लड़कर ऊपर पहुंचते हैं तो उनके साथ एक दिक्कत ये खड़ी हो जाती है। देवमूर्ति साहब का ध्यान चाहता हूं कि जब आपके जो इंस्टीट्यूशंस हैं इनमें एडमिशन की बात आती है तो कहीं ना कहीं मुझे ये अफसोस होता है कि काबिलियत हार जाती है और डोनेशन जीत जाती है।
ये ऐसा
देवमूर्ति
नहीं
जी आप ही से शुरू कर।
मैं बताता हूँ,
बहुत अच्छा सवाल देवमूर्ति जी को बोल दीजिए।
सर
एक्सीलेंट,
खत्म नहीं हुई
आपने बोलने भी
सर, मैं पूरी बात कर लूँ। आप सबसे हम लोग को उम्मीदें हैं, आप हमारे हिंदुस्तान का मुस्तकबिल बना रहे हैं, आप तालीम के कारोबारी हैं, तो हम ये चाहते हैं कि आप हमारे हिंदुस्तान में जो हमारी आने वाली नस्लें हैं उनमें क्वांटिटी ना दें, उनमें क्वालिटी दें। और क्वालिटी तभी आ सकती है जब हम सब अपने मुल्क को अपने मुल्क की तरह ट्रीट करेंगे, अपने पॉकेट भरने की मशीन की तरह ट्रीट नहीं करेंगे।
देवमूर्ति जी आप ही से शुरू करते हैं, सारे पैनलिस्ट बोलेंगे इधर से।
मैं आपको पहले क्वेश्चन का जवाब दे रहा हूँ। इंटर पास हमारे यहाँ मैनेजमेंट सीट के लिए एंट्रेंस टेस्ट होता है। सर ध्यान से सुने सर, सब लोग बैठे हैं, सब बुद्धिजीवी बैठे हैं, और मेरे ट्रस्ट की तरफ से 2 करोड़ की स्कॉलरशिप दी जाती है। और स्कॉलरशिप हमारे यहाँ यूनिवर्सिटी एग्ज़ाम पे बेस है। अगर बच्चा 75,000 लेके आता है उसको 25,000 मिलती है, कोई भी हो और जितने भी हो, गिनती नहीं है। 80% लाता है उसको 35 मिलती है, 85 लाता है उसको 45 मिलती है, 86 वाले को 86,000 मिलती है, और 96 वाले को 96,000 मिलती है। 96,000 इतनी हम फीस नहीं लेते हैं। आप मेरे यहाँ का रिकॉर्ड देखिए, हर साल हम 250 बच्चों को स्कॉलरशिप देते हैं जो मेरिट पे आते हैं। मेडिकल में, मेडिकल में पढ़ाई ज़्यादा है, वहाँ पर 2 लाख की स्कॉलरशिप देते हैं जिसको 75% आता है।
काउंटर क्वेश्चन है,
एक मिनट, पहली चीज एक मिनट नहीं, अब आपने कहा कैप्टेशन इंजीनियरिंग कॉलेजेस के यूपी के जो हाल है, शायद ही कुछ ऐसे कॉलेज 10-12 जो अपनी सीटें भर पाते हैं, और बाकी क्या तो डिस्काउंट लेवल पे आपको एडमिशन मिल रहा है। मेडिकल की बात कही, मैं आपको मेडिकल दोनों चला रहा हूँ। मैं मेडिकल में मैडम ने जो क्वेश्चन किया था, एक पुरानी कहावत है, जो फिट है वही हिट है। जिस कॉलेज में पढ़ाई है या इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर है या सुविधाएं हैं, वो कॉलेज सब भर रहे हैं, उनके यहाँ डिमांड है। मैंने आपको कहा मेरे पास सब साउथ से पढ़ रहे हैं, बॉम्बे से MBBS के लिए बच्चा आता है।
मूर्ति जी अब समय खत्म हो रहा है, 30 सेकंड में, सिर्फ 30 सेकंड में। संजय श्रीवास्तव जी, सवाल नहीं, अब समय नहीं, बाद में करेंगे इसको डिबेट को, बहुत सारे पैनल्स बाकी हैं। हाँ संजय श्रीवास्तव 30 सेकंड।
नावेद सिद्दीकी साहब अभी ज्वाइन किए हैं, मैं तो रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा कि पैनल में उनको होना चाहिए था, अभी फिलहाल
अभी बहुत सारे पैनल्स बाकी हैं। संजय जी अच्छा सवाल का जवाब दीजिए।
कॉस्ट ऑफ एजुकेशन जो बीटेक की है पर स्टूडेंट, जो IIT के लिए कॉस्ट करती है, दैट इज रफली इट कम्स अराउंड टू 4 lakhs पर स्टूडेंट। जो फीस प्राइवेट इंस्टीट्यूशन जो हमारे पैनलिस्ट साथ में बैठे हुए लर्नड पैनलिस्ट ये जो चार्ज कर रहे हैं दे आर अलाउड टू चार्ज अराउंड 75,000. अब हमें कंपेयर तो एप्पल को एप्पल से ही करना पड़ेगा. प्राइवेट और पब्लिक इंस्टीट्यूशंस की क्वालिटी और अगर इंस्टीट्यूशंस ऑन द होल अगर
सवाल ये नहीं था संजय श्रीवास्तव जी, मैं आपसे बाद आऊंगा. शिवाली जी सवाल ये है, हाउ डू यू create a private institution which is not a money making machine only?
So we
it
are
has to be
not.
quality education. वही सवाल है, उस पर जवाब दीजिए.
नहीं, ये क्वेश्चन ही कहाँ से आया? I mean, I would say something. I think all of us would agree to this. 75,000 एक engineering college के लिए चार्ज करना बहुत कम है. Honestly, with the kind of facilities, आप इम्पॉसिबल वाली बात कर रहे हैं. 75,000 में अगर आप एक साल द काइंड ऑफ इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, द काइंड ऑफ फैकल्टी वी गिव, इट इज इम्पॉसिबल टू रन द कॉलेज.
गौरव गुलाटी, सॉरी,
प्राइमरी कॉलेज, प्राइमरी स्कूल्स ज्यादा चार्ज करते हैं.
Gaurav Gulati, how do we ensure quality and not only money making in a private institution? That's the question. The difference, if you want to put it bluntly, the difference between racketeering and a great institution building.
Absolutely. 2 points I like to take very
Okay, quickly, 30 seconds.
बड़ी बात, charity begins at home. हम ये जब मैंने 12th किया था 16 साल पहले, तो यूपी बोर्ड में 60% लाना एक बहुत बड़ी बात थी. आज बच्चों का 96% आता है और उनको न्यूटन्स का पहला लॉ नहीं पता होता. मैं कहने की कोशिश कर रहा हूँ कि अगर क्वालिटी चाहिए तो हमको पहले स्कूलिंग लेवल को इम्प्रूव करना पड़ेगा, अपने आप क्वालिटी बढ़ेगी. सेकेंड, वन थिंग द यंग स्टूडेंट हैड आस्क्ड दैट शुडंट द क्वालिटी बी ऑफ एजुकेशन बी अ इम्पॉर्टेंट पैरामीटर ओवर प्लेसमेंट्स. एब्सोल्युटली, इट इज़ अ लॉन्ग टर्म थिंग. हम एम्प्लॉयबिलिटी कैंपस प्लेसमेंट से रिलेट करते हैं, लेकिन आप ये मान लीजिए अगर बच्चा अच्छे कॉलेज से पढ़ा होता है तो ओवर अ पीरियड ऑफ 2-3 years ही और शी इज़ 9 out of 10 times वेल सेटल्ड. So we must always focus on the quality of academics. प्लेसमेंट या एम्प्लॉयबिलिटी कॉलेज से हो ना हो, अगर आपकी पढ़ाई और डिग्री अच्छी होगी तो आप लाइफ में एक्सेल करेंगे.
Thank you, Gaurav Gulati. Thank you very much to all the questioners, to all the panelists. Just one point I wanted to make, the state of the state debate. How is it related directly to a private versus public education, a small district versus metro education? That was the purpose of the state of the state. The report of the state of state pointed out that the most improved districts came from actually the most backward region. Some of these were really what we call, boondocks. From there you see in certain categories, districts are emerging, beating the universities or beating the health, medical schools, beating other institutions in metros. That's why we started this debate. Is it possible to do what Rabindranath Tagore did when he started Vishwa Bharati in a small village, but not in Calcutta? Thank you very much. Thank you, Murthy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sanjay Srivastava. Thank you, Shefali Raj. Thank you, Gaurav Gulati. Thank you very much to the audience.